Hey there, Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. I want to talk about two opposite forms of energy that you need to be aware of as you're working with your young players. And, one of them is a push energy that players tend to create as you reinforce ideas of staying short to the ball, things like that. Sometimes the energy source for the barrel is lacking, and we're going to demonstrate why that's the case. And then I think the optimal force that we want to create with the barrel is barrel lag, where we're giving the barrel a source of energy to chase. So I like to use isolation drills like we do here in the top hand arm therapy in the second phase of the program, where we're challenging players' hand path and what we're trying to accomplish in terms of hand path. And so we use really strange positions in this, you see the bat on my shoulder, where we're just trying to emphasize and really pound home certain feelings here. Okay, and so a push move is basically this. And I think it always comes from good intentions. Coach sees a player, and it doesn't take good coaches long to watch an 8-year-old and go, okay, they're not very efficient. And so telling this player to turn a barrel, lose a barrel, swing around the ball more, hit the catcher's mitt, whatever people are saying these days in order to create more depth and launch angles, never going to do anything for an 8-year-old learning the game. So fundamentally, we step in and we say, hey, we got to shorten this up a little bit. And in that process, we run the risk of creating a push move. So I'm just going to emphasize, I'm going to draw some lines just to emphasize the problem with the push. So, hey, little Johnny, we're going to move our hands really short this way. So he starts buying into that. And so he finds an energy source somewhere between his hands, and he starts pushing this way to try to make this short move. The problem with this, it becomes really, as I draw this out, you'll get it really quick, right? It creates a seesawing effect for the bat. There's no energy for the barrel to go somewhere. There's a lot of energy here in this opening phase for it to move, but it's just like a seesaw. If our job was just to move a barrel back and forth in this phase and everything was going to be okay, that would be great. But unfortunately, we have to hit a ball that's flying from out here. So what kids have to do when they have a push idea is they have to compensate in other areas to try to create energy that's lacking. Okay, so what we try to challenge players to feel is lag. And barrel lag is just this. In a drill like this, what I'm challenging a player to do is not just take their hands somewhere. Now, I've used language like that with players that I felt like were establishing enough lag. But in general, what we're trying to do is get players to feel that both hands are turning the knob of the bat across the chest in this phase of the swing. And that in this process, I want the barrel to chase directly behind that. I'm not using a flexible rubber hose to hit. There's a bat in my hand. It's a solid object. It can't follow down that path exactly. It can't do it. Anytime you talk about hands or something like that, and people will show, they'll chart out the barrel going under and around or whatever they'll show. We're talking about energy, right? So as you'll see here, as my barrel as I begin to unload this move, that this is the important part that I want you to see, is that the good part of the bat basically enters the same spot where my hands took off from. The good part of the bat, exactly where my hands took off, it starts to get into that part of the zone. It's constantly chasing a source of energy. That is lag. And that's the source of energy you want your player to understand. Because ultimately lag goes, let me jump back real quick. So I want a player to feel that this energy source, I've got a barrel that stays behind that for as long as possible. On a tee with a ball sitting still, I want a player to be able to try to feel that barrel staying behind that energy for as long as possible. And in return, what you'll end up getting, and I think on a fundamental level, is you start teaching a player what it feels like to get inside of the ball. Because kids, what they do to start the swing is they try to move the barrel out and around. We know this from kids. Just watch kids hitting. Their first move is to spin barrels out and around. But when a player is emphasizing lag as a source of energy, right, they naturally get to feel what it feels like to be inside. And being inside of the ball, to me, is not necessarily just because I pulled my hands in really close to my body and got them inside. It's that the mechanisms that are the levers attached to the bat are in complete agreement that I can continue to pass through the zone. Nothing is backwards. Exactly how the body is designed, right? No ligaments are backwards in this process. Kids will have, this will all be backwards. No telling what else is going on, right? But everything's in agreement. Why? Because I'm establishing this. The barrel is chasing something. And so it's critical, I think, for kids to learn fundamentally, this feeling of, opening up. You can't do a push move and then find lag. It's impossible. In order to have lag, you have to start with lag. And so this idea of kind of feeling like you're turning the knob across the chest really exaggerates that feeling for a player, so they can instantly jump into lag and then have them try to challenge the barrel staying behind the ball and to promote that I want to further pursue lag all the way throughout the swing. With your players, if you focus on this energy source of getting them to feel like the barrel can chase behind these mechanisms, these levers, as long as possible, you're going to see, right, that they're going to make a huge jump in the right direction. That doesn't mean you won't have things to work on, but this is a very important energy source that kids tend to not understand when they're learning the game. Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. Thanks.